steps of our bone broth, and I'm just gonna show you how to do what I call taking down the bone broth. First thing I'm gonna do is pick out these big leek pieces. Remember how I told you that they would never break down? So you can see that some of the nutrition is left, and of course the flavor as well, but they're still in really big pieces. So I'm just gonna take those out first and get them out of my way. So this is our scrap pile. I'm just using a dirty casserole. Once again, no need to use a clean casserole if you've got any dirty dish. Now here's our bouquet garni that we made. Ooh, that's hot. I'm gonna use my spoon, pull that out. If you have time to cool down, you know, you can always squeeze things a little more. And if you don't, no biggie. We'll put that in our scrap pile, maybe on the edge, so we can pull that bag out and use it again. At this point, most of the meat should have fallen off the bones. The longer you cook it, the more likely that's to happen. If you don't have as much time to cook the broth, you might have to pick some of the meat off, and I usually do spend a little time doing that. But the quick and easy part is I'm just going to use a strainer right back into that huge liquid measuring cup that I love so much. I'm just going to take, this is why I love these liquid measuring cups, right into a clean canning jar. And then I take a clean lid, put that lid right on top of the jar, screw it on, and it goes right in the fridge. Now that's going to keep in my fridge. It's probably going to seal itself because of the heat, which will keep most of the bacteria and germs from forming. And I put it on the very back of the shelf, so it's in the coldest part of the fridge, and it will keep for up to 3 weeks. And if you don't want to keep it in the fridge, and like today you have a huge carcass and you're making a lot of broth, you can measure out into, I like to use glass. I try to avoid plastic at all costs in the kitchen. But you can measure these out for separate dishes. So this is a 2-cup glass container. I'm going to let these cool down. I'm going to put their lids on after it cools down, and I'm going to put these ones in the freezer. So I could come back in 2 or 3 months and I've got bone broth ready to make a chicken soup, a casserole, and I've got no need to ever buy bouillon or broth again. So I'm just going to basically do that until this is empty again, because I've got a ton of broth left. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to pull out the pieces that nobody will eat. Now, if you're making chicken soup or you want to keep cooking, something like this is the skin. Now, like I said, if you really want that dewy, fresh, plump look in your face and your eyes, this is what all those creams and pills they're selling you are made out of, right here. So why buy an expensive bottle of something when you can cook it and get a better result at home? If you eat these things, if you're brave enough to do this and eat this, you can achieve those same nutritional results and never ever spend a dime on those expensive supplements. But if you just want to make a quick broth that you can use in any dish, we're just going to put all these in our scrap pile. So I'm just going to keep going through. I'm going to pull out first my big bones. Maybe if there's any meat, I'll put them off and then in my scrap pile. So here's a big piece of meat. I'll put that in my meat dish. Here's some more skin, so we'll put this in here. Now, like I said, you can make bone broth. You can keep boiling your bones down until they're so soft you can crush them. This is a good example. These are some smaller bones. These are little vertebrae bones. So if you don't have the time, go ahead and throw this stuff away, or just take a few minutes and pick the big pieces of meat off. But if you want, you can pick all these bones apart and you can get all the collagen and all the great nutrition out of all of these bones, so you're not throwing anything away but the bones. So we're just going to keep doing that until we have all the meat off the bones and all the bones in a pile. And then we'll throw the bones in the trash or the compost. Now, I just want to point out to you, friends, exactly how cost-effective it can be to spend those few minutes just throwing your bony carcass in a pot of boiling water. Look at what we have here from that little bit of effort. This much broth in the store to purchase canned, especially if it were organic, would cost you at least $15 or $20. We have all of this cooking material, which is highly nutritious, organic, and fresh, basically for free from our scraps. In addition, I have a huge pot of turkey soup. This is full of meat. I've only begun to pick the meat out. There's so much meat in this soup. I'm just going to add some frozen vegetables, an onion, some salt and pepper, and it'll be the best turkey soup you ever had in your life. And all of this were things that we were going to throw away. And I've got enough food here to feed a family for close to a week. So I hope you realize that sometimes spending just a few extra minutes in the kitchen can really maximize your results, both financially and nutritionally. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Living Well. I hope you've enjoyed learning about bone broth and maximizing your food dollars as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Please do come again, and until then, live well with Dedra Sipe.